My name is Carl Duplessis. Welcome to the Endangered Wildlife Trust Wild Dog Holding Facility. My key role within the organisation is to coordinate the Wild Dog Range Expansion Project. This is a project that has been running for over 20 years, and as a result of it, we've now increased the wild dog population numbers, safe space and genetic diversity. African wild dogs have become locally extinct in 25 of the 39 countries that they once roamed, with only 700 breeding pairs remaining. This inspired the EWT to fundraise for and construct a state-of-the-art wild dog holding facility. A facility that would prioritize the ethics and the welfare of the wild dogs, and on a site that would meet a very specific criteria. This included an isolated space with little or no human traffic or noise pollution, a property with no lion, elephant or wild dogs, close proximity to wild dog experienced veterinarians, access to a local airstrip with an international airport nearby, and a property owned by a well-respected and trusting partner. The EWT approached Valgevonden Game Reserve, who put forward the idea of constructing the facility on their newly purchased property across the road from their main reserve. An agreement was signed shortly after. Morning everyone, this is Carl from the Endangered Wildlife Trust. I'm here with my little accomplice Lihle. We arrived last night in Valgevonden and we've set up tent, and today's the big day. We get to get going with the wild dog holding facility. This here is the road that takes you there. It's only about 200 or 300 meters from our camp. So this is day one and we'll keep you posted. The construction of the temporary holding facility came underway on 9th October 2021 and was built specifically to aid the work of the Wild Dog Range Expansion Project. In order of priority, the main motivations were 1. Wild dog relocations. Before long-distance relocations can be undertaken, the wild dogs need to be captured and temporarily placed in a holding facility. This gives us the opportunity to have all pack members caught and accounted for, bond new pack members, complete the necessary paperwork, and ensure that all the wild dogs have received their vaccinations. Number 2, wild dog rehabilitation. In cases where a wild dog has been injured, for example snared, shot or hit by a car, and there is strong motivation to treat the animal away from its pack, the holding facility will come into use for the patient and usually a healthy pack member. This is according to our standard operating procedure for wild dog treatment. And number 3, a temporary solution. In cases where wild dogs have come under threat from deliberate persecution, we can consider holding them temporarily if there are no human-animal conflict mitigation tools that have proven effective. The design of the facility started out quite simply, but new ideas evolved with the progress of construction. This included a first ever wild dog veterinary clinic with a top-notch viewing height mounted on top. Live cameras at the den and a small research camp nearby are also on the radar. Please take a moment to look at the rules of the wild dog holding facility. It is important to note that these animals are from the wild and remain wild. Research undertaken in 2019 showed that the stress levels of wild dogs significantly increase when placed in captivity. It also revealed that wild dogs do not showcase their stress. The following rules are strictly enforced to ensure the welfare and ethical treatment of the wild dogs. Any visitors who fail to comply with any of the following rules will be asked to leave and may not be allowed access to the facility in the future. So, for an enjoyable and educational experience, please take note of the following. Rule 1. Always keep noise to a minimum. No shouting, clicking, whistling or loud laughter. Please do not try to capture the attention of the wild dogs in any form. Rule 2. On arrival, make your way straight to the viewing hide. Greetings, questions and conversations will take place off-site before and or after viewing. Rule 3. Under no circumstances is a visitor to walk around the facility or drive unaccompanied. Rule 4. Please switch off any lights when leaving the site, and please do not tamper with any electrical switches or taps. And Rule 5. Please do not leave litter or food scraps anywhere in the facility. Anything taken to the holding facility must be taken out on exit. Now that the formalities are out the way, sit back, relax, and enjoy some footage from the Gorongosa wild dog reintroduction. They are beautiful, intelligent, resilient, and social. They live and die for their pack. They are incredible predators, possessing amazing stamina and strategy. They have high biodiversity value and play a critical ecological role. They are one of the world's most threatened species, and I've dedicated my life to saving them. My name is Carl Duplessis. I work for the Endangered Wildlife Trust, and I coordinate the African Wild Dog Range Expansion Project. African wild dogs have disappeared from 25 of the 39 countries that they once roamed, making them Africa's second most endangered carnivore. There are currently only an estimated 6,600 individuals left. While snaring, persecution, and disease are some of the well-known threats, it's a lack of safe space to wander that has ultimately taken the heaviest toll on the species. And prospects are not looking good, as human populations expand relentlessly, eating further into their space. By creating an African wild dog feasibility assessment, we are able to identify and rank potential sites that are suitable for reintroduction in Southern Africa. This assessment includes the size of the protected area, the prey densities, predator numbers, disease history, and partner buy-in. When undertaking a cross-border relocation, we start with the capture process at first light. The African wild dogs at this stage are contained in a temporary holding facility that we like to call their waiting lounge. Once all the pack members are mobilized, we would transfer them to specialized crates and drive them to a nearby airport. While still in a sedated state, we would then load them onto a plane and take off shortly after. When I flew into Gorongosa National Park for the very first time, seeing it from the air told me everything I needed to know. It looked like an African wild dog paradise. We worked very closely with the Gorongosa team.
In Portuguese you call wild dog mabeco.
Yeah, mabeco.
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 Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He's the alpha male.
So we'll take that collar off.
Okay.
The pack were temporarily contained and closely monitored for several weeks, allowing time for them to settle and acclimatize to the new environment before being released into their new home. We opted to introduce larger packs comprising of 14 and 15 individuals to create some resilience. Introducing African wild dogs that are genetically distinct from one another allows the population to naturally grow, but also promotes an increase in genetic diversity. Good genetics promotes better immunity, health, and condition. Since their release, they have just blossomed. In 2017 and decades before, there were no African wild dogs in Gorongosa. 3 years later, and the population is 90 strong. The Endangered Wildlife Trust have collaborated with the Gorongosa Project, African Parks, Peace Parks, and other partners to work together to expand safe space for African wild dogs in Africa. We have now identified 13 protected areas across Africa that meet these initial feasibility requirements. Cumulatively, these reserves account for over 3 million hectares of safe space into which African wild dogs can be reintroduced. It is a critical moment for African wild dog conservation. We have experience, knowledge, and skills gained to execute the on-the-ground work needed to save the species. But we cannot do this without funding. There are large costs incurred. These include site assessments, veterinary work, vaccinations, monitoring costs, relocations, and temporary holding. This African wild dog restoration work is a first of its kind and is gaining momentum with national conservation partners and governments. With working methodology and a strong genetically sound African wild dog population in South Africa and now in Mozambique, we are looking to scale up this critical conservation work across the continent. The success and failures in our conservation efforts don't just affect conservationists, but humanity as a whole. We need to reintegrate nature into our DNA and undertake restoration efforts to repair the damage rather than just preserve what is left. There's a rare and exciting opportunity to restore the African wild dog populations of the past and make a significant conservation impact in saving the species. But we need to act now. On behalf of the Endangered Wildlife Trust, have a great day, ask questions, and please visit our website if you'd like to support further.